honorable guests, esteemed colleagues, our wonderful students and their super parents. Good afternoon. I'm very honored to stand here and say a few words as our students finish one chapter in their lives and move on to the next. Dear students, first things first, congratulations. You have worked hard, did pages and pages of readings, submitted multiple assignments with annoying word limitations imposed, found a brilliant research question, you did right, and put yourself through a highly demanding, but hopefully a rewarding experience that we call Masters. I am so proud of you. We are all very proud of you. As a faculty member, I'm supposed to give you a few pieces of advice and say some maybe big words of encouragement, telling you something like, the sky is your limit, the world is your oyster, go, 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 you can do anything. But perhaps it's not a very good idea to do that. I really worry that this might be a bit quite repetitive if I take that route. Sure, I know many of you have big hopes, dreams, ambitions, but you also have fears and anxieties about finding a job, leading your own path, finding your place, living a good life. These are completely valid worries, and they are real. But I have no secrets to tell you how to deal with those, except that the world is a bit of a complicated place. There's fierce competition, but also solidarity, plenty of injustice, but also kindness, habitual sexism, everyday discrimination, but also courageous advocates for change. Rising inequality, economic precarity, all with the roof falling over our heads as climate changes for the worse, but also droves of young people and even children fighting their own revolution. And you already know that because you are part of that. And in fact, I believe my students have always been ahead of me in terms of what they know. I often feel like a female version of Jon Snow, you know, sometimes. I therefore want to tell you a little bit about yourselves, what I learned from you, and how you have been an inspiration for me, and certainly not a frustration for most of the time. So lesson 1, there's more to life than the classroom. What do I mean by this? No, I don't mean parties, guys. Sure, they are also important, and I hear you had a fair share of those. Sadly, I'm drifting into into an age bracket where Granny is becoming my new nickname. Sad face. So parties are not what I have in mind when I say there's more to life than the classroom. So I spend a fair share of my time reading and writing. Reading, writing, thinking, and then coming back into the classroom to share what I processed in a digestible format. That's what I do. Then I ask you questions. What do you think? Do you agree? And there has always been at least one skeptic, someone who is not fully convinced by the direction of where the debate is going. That person who raises the hand and says something different, something I hadn't really thought of or given much consideration. You know who you are. Thank you for challenging my convictions without being disrespectful or snarky or arrogant. In trying to understand your ideas or your experience, I might have probably switched into a deer in headlights mode, trying to process your thoughts. That might have been followed by a long pause of us and us. But I can assure you that I did not stop there and took this with me outside the classroom, to a dinner conversation, to what I write. What you say makes an impact and challenge established wisdoms. Perhaps not always, but you have a potential to leave that mark. And you won't leave that mark if you choose to stay silent, like if you have excessive self-doubt. And in that case, excessive self-doubt is your worst enemy. I know this group will leave a mark in whatever you do. And some of you are already doing it. I'm looking at you. So there you go, my first lesson. What I learned from you is that there's more to life than the classroom. Lesson 2, curiosity matters as much as creativity. Now, as researchers, we are told that creativity matters a lot. Coming up with that one big idea that no one had ever thought of. that is so highly valued in our work that we established significant hierarchies, placing Nobel Prize winners at the top of the list of highly creative researchers. Though there are some questions in whether this is a rightly deserved honor, I won't get into that. I'm not naming names. So creativity is great. Imagine the feeling that you had when you look at an impressive piece of art or hear some wonderfully composed piece of music. We too get excited when we read a good piece of analysis using some novel technique or a brand new argument so intelligently formulated that we have not heard of it before. Encounters like this stimulate us. So much so that some of us get very passionate to discuss these works even on places like Twitter. You won't believe it. Are any of you guys on Twitter? Not so many. Oh, good, okay. I forget that this is an Instagram generation. So what was I saying? Yes, we get excited with creative output. We love creative stuff. So we also try to cultivate these ideas among our students. But this is not always very easy, because on your way to becoming creative individuals, you have more questions than answers. You are fiercely curious. And when you are puzzled, you are certainly not shy of asking questions. I see this a lot as you work on your final thesis, for instance. And sometimes the road to finding your answers is longer than anticipated. But without asking many questions, you won't ask the right ones. And without asking the right questions, you will not have very good answers. Creativity won't get far without curiosity. So creativity needs curiosity. Thanks for being curious. Thanks for teaching me the second valuable lesson. Lesson 3, don't be intimidated by power. Classroom dynamics can be very interesting. It is quite hierarchical in design. You have an authority figure standing before the students, lecturing, and sometimes pathetically trying to be funny without much success. You see, when I was a student a few centuries ago, the professor in the room was something like a demigod, whose authority could only be questioned behind his or her back. And they were that serious types. But hierarchies are everywhere, and also beyond the classroom. If I stand above someone, I also stand below someone else. And it can be a rather difficult thing to question authority figures. Confrontation is rather risky. And power can be both mesmerizing and paralyzing. But luckily, you don't do that. As I said, your curiosity is a powerful weapon to break down some of these hierarchies. You are not intimidated by towering figures. You are not afraid to challenge big names. Not just the stuff written by Nobel Prize winners when we discuss those in the classroom, but you also have the courage to question their logic when they are standing right before you. And I know some of you just did that, for example, when Mohamed Yunus came to Barcelona. You did not let power intimidate you. Thanks for showing me that. There are many more encounters that were so valuable to me this year, but I think my time is up. So let me end just by saying this. You are graduating into a world where our troubles are too many, and given the mess we're in with economic precariousness, climate change, democratic backsliding, we cannot afford to sit back and watch the world go by. But we do not need a superhero to save us either. I don't need to tell you to be one, because you already are in your own way. When teaching me and others many more valuable lessons, for instance. So you are already perfectly equipped to make that change beyond your days at IBEI. I am convinced that you can, and yes, you can. I love you all. Thank you, and good luck.